I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, people? How you doing? My goodness, my goodness. I also want to invite you to go ahead and subscribe to Late Night with Yaya Diamond right here on the DuPont Network. You don't want to miss out on all the new episodes. That's right. It's new. It's new. It's new. It's finally new. My gosh, it's been a minute. Okay. But it's great to start off with this episode. And if we're not starting off with this episode, it's still important because finding your true identity is what Sade Odiah is talking about today. Did it right. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime, anytime. So first of all, before we go into it, finding your true identity, because I don't know if anybody really knows. I don't really know who I really am. And I'm just going with the flow. But let's find out what your flow was before you wrote the book.
Before I wrote this book, I was a youth pastor and, just mentoring young people. I was a young person myself. And I found out as I mentored them, I was discovering myself as I was going along. And this passion to write just came and the flow just came out. To be honest, I had to read the book to really get into it and learn from it as well, because I can't say it's life experiences. I would say I got a lot of inspiration by the Spirit of God, and it's touched my life. It's touched the lives of those who have read it. So, and like you said earlier, we're always evolving. So I can't say I have discovered as well, but I am discovering.
I hear you. There's a saying, I'm going to go find myself. I don't think we ever do.
They go and don't come back.
I know, right? He's like, okay, I'm going to go find myself. She said that about 10 years ago, and we haven't seen her since.
Yes.
Wow. So it just kind of flowed and came to you, huh?
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. Wow.
Yes.
So in all of that occurrence, you said you even had to read the book to actually kind of understand it yourself. Was it because it was divinely given to you?
Yes. I mean, it was divinely inspired. And even when I do teachings, messages, preachings, inspirational things, I still always go back to listen because I'm not exempt from the message. The message is for everyone, even the writer. You're just a vessel. Just because you're the vessel doesn't mean you're exempt from the message. So I do go back, I read. I sometimes I need to be reminded of something sometimes. And so I go back to my book.
I hear you. We all need to go back to that point and find out where we left off. And I find myself doing the rewind a little bit sometimes.
Absolutely. It's necessary. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You have to. So, okay. So let's go back a little bit further. Did you ever think in your lifetime that you would be writing a book?
No. If I would have written a book of my own accord, it'd probably be like children's books. That's probably what I would have written. If you told me I would write a book about self-awareness and identity, I would not have said it's me. But again, as we go along, we discover who we are. And I did discover that this was part of God's plan for me. And I was happy about it.
Do you find that your self-confidence has been boosted since you wrote the book?
Yes, in a lot of ways. Confident that I've got heaven on my back. I'm not alone. So here's the assignment, and I was able to complete that not alone. So that my confidence is in I'm not alone.
Gotcha.
Me myself, no confidence, but when I say I know heaven's got my back, that's where my confidence comes from.
Right. I mean, all of us have some kind of a confidence in, the Most High and all that. But what I'm talking about is your writing and your ability to do it again.
Oh, I'm gonna write tons of books. I have tons of titles lined up, and
She's like, oh yeah.
oh yeah, I'm not stopping. This is just taking off the tarmac as a plane would take off. Once I'm in the air, that's it. It's nonstop.
Do you consider yourself in the air?
I am in the air. Yes, I am flying high, soaring high. That's how I feel right now.
Awesome. What kind of advice do you give to people who are not in the air? They're on the tarmac and they've been delayed. I mean, literally.
You know, sometimes you need to gather enough momentum to lift off, and that's okay. But just make sure that you're surrounded by the things that will give you that momentum. That's it. The
Right.
motivation you need, the inspiration, just make sure that that's what you're surrounded by. And eventually you're going to take off.
Awesome. So let's talk about the book, Discovering Your True Identity. Now,
Mm.
the title itself is just kind of self-explanatory, but what does it mean to you?
Discovering your true identity is a journey. And it's a journey that takes time and it involves a process. You cannot be discovered by someone else. Your identity is discovered by you for you to walk in it, live in it, and have your own kind of swag in it. All right. It's a reflection of God in us. And it's not just looking at your life through the eyes of society, but looking at your life through the eyes of Christ and saying, oh my God, I can do that.
I
Yeah.
hear you. I hear you. So, I mean, okay, let's talk about this. There are certain things that you had to go through while writing this book. What was the most memorable thing that you personally had to put the book down and work yourself through before you could continue?
That's an awesome question. I love that question. Um, there was a period where I would always doubt myself in terms of what I was writing. It took me a long time to write this little book. And at one point, I had to put a lot of things aside just to finish because I
Mm.
knew it had to get done. And the sacrifices I needed to make, they were not easy sacrifices, but I'm happy that I made those sacrifices.
Mm, mm, mm. A lot of people don't realize that when you're writing a book, it's also speaking to you, but it's also speaking all of those things that you told other people that you don't even take for yourself. What,
Absolutely.
what was the one thing, or maybe even the few things that you took out of this whole thing about yourself that you had been giving advice to other people with, but you never took on for yourself?
I would say in a nutshell, the greatest advice I took from this book, is don't be afraid to focus on you. Don't be afraid to be selfish sometimes. Sometimes you need to be selfish to be great. Don't be afraid of that.
How many times have you given that advice and you've never taken it?
At this point, I take it before I give it, okay? But
But before
um,
that,
yes, before that, I have said it so many times and didn't. Sometimes we say things and we say them until it's time to live them. And we're like, but once we pass that line, you do good.
yeah, I think so too. So, why should people actually go ahead and get this book? What is the one thing that you think that will help these people beyond anyone that has given them any advice before?
I believe everyone should read this book because we're always being rediscovered. There's always something new coming out of us. There are always things that need to be, um, you know, uh, uncovered, discovered. So give yourself a chance to bloom again in a new season and produce colors that you didn't even know you had on the inside.
Awesome.
And this book will help you to redefine yourself.
Awesome. Awesome. That sounds great. I want one.
It's good. It's on Amazon. Mm.
It is on Amazon, and I'm going to have the link in the description box below so you guys can go ahead and pick that up. Discovering your true self. Do you really need to walk away to try and find yourself, or do you just need her book? I think you just go ahead and get the book, guys, because if you leave and start walking away, you'll probably walk away from things you're not supposed to walk away from. and that might damage your whole future. You just never know. And so I want to thank you so much. Did we miss anything today that you would like to say to the audience?
I think we covered it all, but what matters the most is believe in yourself. Believe in your journey. Believe in the mistakes you've made. For the simple fact that you're still standing, still moving, that means you are victorious. And so just celebrate that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Sade, for being on the show and for bringing your awesome book. You know, you sometimes you just have to go ahead and say, I'm going to go get the book. And I think that you might just discover yourself within that
That's
book.
right. That's right. That's right.
I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And until next time, guys, bye.